not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
Your mate.
Yes, he is the DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. And today, man, we're bringing you inside the locker room, man, where we talk about what's going on in and around the game. And make you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So what are we talking about today, man? What are we bringing the folks in the locker room about today?
Yeah, I mean, in the recent spirit of beef, we're not talking about the exquisite steak I just had. Shout out to you, Kristen.
Let's go.
It was hidden. But we want to talk a little bit about Shannon, Sharpe, and your boy Shaquille O'Neal. Have you heard a little bit about what's going on?
Man, not really. You know what I'm saying? I'm just getting hip to it. You know, shout out to Bobby Stills, aka Bobby Digital. He's like shout out some show topics, man. So you know, he sent it out to me. So I was like, man, let me see what's going on with the Big Diesel. And that's so funny. You were alluding to beef. So I thought you were talking about the other rap battle going on. I didn't know we had a bigger one going on, and I guess with size, right?
With pause. But which
no Diddy.
which we have touched on previously, but there's a portion of this beef that but let's I think we need to start this kind of from the beginning of the Shaq and Shannon Sharpe. Both ways. Shout out to them before we get into it. Shout out to these guys for we always talk about not gonna shut up and dribble and career outside of the game. These are both Hall of Famers in their individual sports that have made astonishing strides in their second career, if you will. So before we get into this little bit of a dispute, I think we should at least shout them out and say congratulations.
Absolutely. Got to give them flowers, right? Especially on the podcasting side, right? So we're in that space, and, you know, they're forever doing, you know, Shaq's got the big pod or whatever his is called, you know, where he does certain things, which is a spinoff of, you know, what he does on TNT and things like that. And then, you know, Club Shay-Shay, man, you know, he's a proprietor, man. I just feel like I should be what's this cognac called?
Yeah. I don't know, but
So I feel like I should be toasting up to that. But yeah, no, let's definitely start it off with two. And it's funny, it's also dope that like we have them from two different backgrounds, right? So yes. So backing up, yes, flowers due. Now let's get into it.
Yeah. It's a traditional football versus basketball thing, which is another conversation that's been on topic of recent. But let's get into the beef. So right. Nikola Jokic just started back. Nikola Jokic earlier in May. Nikola Jokic was selected for his third MVP in 4 years. And as the TNT show has progressed, they are now, you know, announcing the awards. So on live, when they're talking about, you know, who's going to win the MVP, there were some other names besides Nikola Jokic that was up for MVP. Shaq was a supporter of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We can get into reasons why. But essentially, Nikola Jokic, as we all know by now, was announced the MVP. And the announcing of the MVP was all live on TNT. And the studio between Ernie, Shaq, you know, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, the great Inside the NBA show, interviewed Nikola Jokic, obviously announcing him as a winner and congratulated him for the award.
Immediately after. So 20 seconds into the interview, Shaq has his first or second question about, you know, congratulations, Jokic MVP. You know, Shaq on the segment before the announcement said, hey, he wants Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all the cases. And then live on the announcement, he just told Jokic straight up, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have won the award. No disrespect, but disrespect. So let me ask you this. Do you think there was a time, is that the right time for Shaq to basically Kanye Jokic's moment there? Is that an appropriate time? Let's just start there. So my answer would be yes. for their platform and what they do, right? So they have a unique platform unlike any other. He and like Charles even talked about like, oh, we're not just talking heads, we're going to tell it. Because even Charles has gotten like beef where they talk about like, oh, those old heads telling us da. And they're just like they have, we started this whole show talking about giving them their flowers and who they, so that dais, that the analyst kit, they have that platform. And I think they've created that platform with enough wiggle room to be able to do that. Now, is it something the average could have done? I'm trying to think like Malika Andrews or somebody like that, talking on the show, or I'm trying to think of someone else, just kind of going with that gusto. I don't think that would be able to be handled at that time, right? And then being criticized by your peers, right? Like he's done it before. So I think that's part of the like acceptance, right? Because he's like, yeah, I know this is how I feel. I'm gonna tell you straight to your face. I'll tell you any other time, but he's like, he calls himself the something of the big man, right?
Yeah. G14 classification. He can say what the hell he wants is essentially what he's been saying.
So that was a long-winded way of saying, yes, I think he can get away with it, and they can get away with it because the platform and the grace they've been given. And they're not doing it for entertainment. Like that's really how he feels, and he's just gonna tell you that's what it is. So that's my answer. But I just don't think anybody else on like any other kind of network or any other kind of analyst, could have said that in that timing, because that time was a little rough, right? Like, damn, man, I didn't even get my flower, and you already, stepping on my shit. So that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, and I think an interesting word that you put on there was platform. So
yes,
let's insert Shannon Sharpe into the discussion on this now.
Okay.
So on his platform with Ocho Cinco, Club Shay-Shay, or no, I'm sorry,
After Dark, right?
Nightcap.
I don't know. Not whatever.
No disrespect. I think it is Nightcap, but on his show Ocho Cinco, this conversation or this topic was brought up, and Shannon Sharpe basically said, "Hey, he doesn't think Shaq. It was the right time for Shaq to do it." Summing up words, not exact quotes, but he was envious of Nikola Jokic's success because, as a fellow big man, Shaq has 1 MVP now. Jokic has 3. Shaq has been well regarded as the most dominant center of all time. Doesn't match up to maybe the MVPs or individual awards that Nikola Jokic has gotten. So the root of the feeling of Shaq, from Shannon Sharpe's perspective, as a former athlete and a Hall of Fame athlete in his sport, was Shaq is envious of the success of Jokic. So I'm going to pause right there, and I want to hear what your thoughts is about that.
Man, he's not fucking envious. Not at all. I think Shaq just...
Hold on. Let me throw this in here.
Okay.
Now,
I shouldn't say it all, but go ahead. Give it to me.
There's a long history of Shaq and his
hate
critique of big men.
Right.
If I would say that. Insert Dwight Howard. Insert Joel Embiid. Insert whatever other big man that you want to put in there as the dean of big mans, or whatever he wants to call himself.
Whatever, right?
Whatever he
big
is.
Aristotle.
The bigger, all those
all
big.
that.
So with that being said, again, do you think that was the root of his feedback for Nikola Jokic?
Not at all, man. If you're the greatest, you just say you're the greatest, and you be able to carry that moniker, right? Like, and I just think that when you talk about, like, we always attempt to measure in so many different fashions, right? But I believe the majority of people can agree on game changers, right? So Shaq was someone that changed the game, right? Like when you get a rule made at you, like or a process, right? Hack a Shaq, right?
Yeah.
And then they changed the way they call fouls around you as the big man. Like you changed the game. They had to create new equipment. Like they had to make new backboards. They was in the lab like, all right, let's try this. Oh, fuck, he broke that one. Let's try this. You know what I mean? So he broke rims, backboards. Then they had the collapsible ones where it doesn't break. It just kind of folds. He changed the game. And you talk about Steph and, other people that have changed the game. And that's the category that he's in. I think the problem, if anything, he would just hate the era, right? Because he was in still that competitive era, where they like a lot of times people talk about, no. I'm talking about the way they talk, say that players are friends now.
Got it. Okay.
That no, I'm still the game's still competitive, but I'm just saying like he was like, I'm the best. I'm going, but now you got the guys on banana boats and drafting each other, and it's like so that era where it's so competitive to now it's just like it's shine and you're rooting for everybody. So I just think if anything, he's hating that era because there's that argument that he should have gotten at least more than one, just like LeBron should have more, than he has, right? So I just think if anything, he's salty at that. Nothing against the big man, and I just think he's Muhammad Ali in it, right? I am the greatest, and I will be forever the greatest, and I will tell you that I think that I'm great. And I think that's part of why he's where he's at, and I just think that's part of what kind of makes him. I don't think he's envious I mean, come on, dude. This is playing career. He's still going to be the best. Nobody's going to be better than him. Now in this new big man league where dudes are out shooting threes, like I would have hated to see Shaq's big ass out there trying to chuck threes, but that wasn't the game then. So Jokic is just in this new kind of era where he's adapting and doing big things. So that's how I feel. I mean, do you feel you kind of shook your head on some and not on others? Like, where are you at with it?
Yeah, I do think he's envious, and maybe not envious of Jokic himself. Sometimes when you look in the mirror about what your own pitfalls, and it might not be envious towards work, so maybe envious is the wrong word, but it may be like maybe disrespected. Maybe you feel, and this is part of what Sharpe has said about like Shaq and his full potential because of his diet and
so that's what I'm going to get into next
and all that kind of stuff. But I do think because when you're great, and I'll just at least my style of how I like great, how I define great. I don't need anybody. You don't need to tell everybody that you're great. We already know you're great. Michael Jordan, he just comes with big suits every now and then, and we just still call him the GOAT. He don't go around saying I'm the GOAT. He just he don't do that. Michael Jordan
does.
Michael Jordan doesn't do that. Nah, yes. He doesn't do that. He doesn't pat himself on the back all the time. Shaq pats himself on the back as he should. It's different strokes for everybody. I mean, that's just his style. I probably prefer a different style. Shannon Sharpe included in that. But he can feel how he wants to feel. At the bottom line is, my man had, and there's some stuff. I'm not hating on Shaq, but Jokic has 3 MVPs. He's the most dominant player, and he's the best player in the world at this time in this era. Shaq was very dominant. Maybe you could say having Kobe Bryant on the team and them being so far ahead of everybody else for that era probably led to his demise of getting him the MVP. It's like a Laker fatigue at some point, during the era. So maybe it's a little bit of that, or maybe truly, what Jokic is doing is historical. So I don't want to, and I don't think just to sneeze at like Jokic is like, or just kind of push it aside. Like, I don't know. I don't think we just sneeze past what he is doing. This is going to be an all-time great. When you talk about centers in conversations for the rest of time, you'll have Shaq, you'll have Kareem, you have Wilt, and you're going to have Jokic in that conversation. However, whoever you pick as number one is up to you.
Right. And I just think, anytime that you do something that sets a precedent, I think it's really hard for a lot of people to adjust to, right? Because once you put that person in that rare air or a different space, that's when the critiques come out. You know what I mean? Sure. So I think everybody was surprised that the voters were actually going to do it, right? It's like, when you talk about like a rookie can't win the Heisman, right? Or, a freshman can't win the Heisman, or you talk about, just other points in some of the voting because, who has these votes and like has that guard changed, throughout the time of who still has those voting rights and what they look at, right? Because like at the end of the day, the biggest argument that most people have all the time with the MVP is that it's not the most valuable player, right? Because the most valuable player is like, okay, how does that person look if that person is no longer on the team, and if you go back to past measurements, are you only looking at during the season? Does championships count, right? Because Shaq should have won something with the Magics, but it's just like it never happened. So did that in the back of people's mind kind of cost him. So if anything, I don't think he's jealous or has that kind of chip on his shoulder to any of the current players, but just kind of how he was regarded during the voters and the people during his time. That's what I think of. Now, the disrespect came when Shannon, like you were kind of alluding to, kind of told him, like, man, if you were fat and sloppy and took it for real, you know, what you could have done. And the true part of that is Shaq's mentioned that. You know, Shaq's like, yo, like, you know, I didn't go as hard. You know, you talk about, like, when we talk about the greats, you talk about MJ with the same guy that trained Kobe talked about this off season. He went right into training while he was filming Space Jam, you know, the original, and his just kind of work ethic of what he was doing to be the greatest, right? And just like Shaq maybe had a little more natural ability, and sometimes that can cause people not to put in the effort and the work because there wasn't nothing like him at the time.
Hasn't been like him since, nor before. So whatever work he put in, it was fine, or whatever work God put in.
So do you think it was more the beef is because Shaq didn't like? Because now this is where you get into the petty stuff, right? So Shaq was like, okay, you had your comment about whatever. Why can't you know Uncle Shay have his comment without you having to do a rap diss track? Which I think that was a tipping point, and I don't know if that was needed. I can see where Shannon was coming from, right? Because like when you asked me the question, I was like, no, anybody else, I don't even think Shannon could have done that, right? But like he's kind of just giving grace because of his platform. But to see them two beefing over someone's opinion, like that's his true opinion. And I think, you know, maybe he's getting, I don't think, because Shannon was like, it's more that Shaq was salty, and that's what he's putting out there, right?
No, for sure. That's what Shaq is putting out, yeah.
And I don't think you know like where someone's heart is or what someone's intent is. Like I think that's Shaq. Like I didn't look at it like that. Now if we can peel layers back, maybe like they've had another conversation or something else. But he's like, no, like this is who I thought. He gave valid point to why he thought, you know, someone else should have won it. And, you know, he's like, hey, I'm not going to shit on you. Like, I'm not going to be two-faced about it. I didn't think you should have won. You know, I just think that's where it ended.
Yeah, I mean, and to Shaq's credit, he said it on the segment before. So it'd be wild if he was on there and was like, you the
man.
Yeah, and if you know he truly, and it's not like he didn't give him love. He just said you're the best big man in the game, and I just feel like somebody else should have won. I just want to be straight up for you. I love you, respect to you, congratulations. So it's not like he just, disrespected him the whole time. But I will say, I think because Shaq, had a tough time the day after. Everybody at Talk Sports mentioned some of that the day after, and why he responded to Shannon Sharpe. There could be a million reasons why, but these are two prominent members on two very publicized and viewed, kind of sports platforms and networks in the game right now. Yeah, so if somebody says that on a network and you feel like, hey, we can get some spins off this on both sides, why not look at it, a little bit, make a diss track or whatever you got to do in response to Shannon Sharpe's comments.
If Shannon Sharpe comes out with a rebuttal, man, I'm going to absolutely lose it.
I would hope Shannon Sharpe with a rebuttal on that end. I hope this will be the end of the
lyrical.
Yeah. So the track was released. For copyright reasons, we won't play it right now. Mm-hmm. But what's your thoughts on the Shaq rebuttal?
I could have done without it. I do like some of Shaq's songs, of course. I think 2 songs, right? So, but I think he could have left.
Do you want me to shoot it? No.
Yeah. Slam. Shout out to Twism Records. No, I think it was just funny. It's humorous. That's kind of one of his lanes that he proclaims.
That is.
So, he may play that record when he DJs somewhere. Maybe here in Vegas, we may hear him spin the record. But yeah, I don't want to hear Shannon's comeback unless he does a little Drake AI and have someone. You don't want that at all. No parts of it.
Don't it? I'm kind of from the lane of like, hey, there's stick to your error when it comes to disagreements. Now, do they really have disagreements, or is this good for both of their pockets? I don't know. Maybe they do have beef. Maybe it's good for. Maybe it's a little bit in between there. Right. In the middle. But I don't know. I just think they're from an era that is before the Twitter beef, before the podcast kind of beef. So like, they're probably from the Star 69 like era. Leave a voicemail. If it not work, yeah, like
you may have to explain Star 69 to some of our listeners.
Yeah. The Star 69 thing was like, hey, somebody call, whatever the case. I can't even remember how it was, but you can start
block that number. Yeah, they call and figure out who it was. All of those.
Like that's probably the way they should communicate over mail. Communicating
facts with each other.
Yeah. Having disagreements in this lane is just like, come on, guys. Like, y'all don't need to do this. Y'all don't need to do this. But respect. Like Shannon Sharpe does. I think him and Ocho show come on. I don't know if it's nightly or whatever. It comes on a lot. So you gotta fill 2.5. Shannon Sharpe don't know how to do anything within an hour. So like 2.5. Yeah, boy, 2.5, 3 hours. You gotta fill with some topics. So if that's a topic of discussion and that is in hot news, and you gotta comment on it, and he's got to say his opinion. And Shaq is gonna say his opinion. So
now they kept. I mean, except for like the beef. I mean, they kept it on the topic. Does it get personal? Does it get any deeper, or is it done? Because like when Shaq took it to the rap battle.
Well, there used to be there was like a fake response. That's why stuff is dangerous now. Like just
that part.
Let's have a conversation. But there was like a fake. Maybe it was an Instagram response from Shannon in regards to the diss track, and I don't think it was Shannon. I'm pretty sure it wasn't, and it was just like crazy. Like it got to a personal level, but obviously that wasn't Shannon Sharpe. So no. And to answer your question, I don't think it gets any deeper than what it was. You have a disagreement. I mean, shoot, maybe they can parlay it into the undercard for Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
I was just going to say, do they box? I was just going to say, do they box? I was just about to say that.
Whatever. I wouldn't do anything physical with Shaquille O'Neal, despite how old he is, whatever the case is. I'll be careful about Shannon Sharpe. But, I think it was good, and they had discussions. And, again, two very big, figures in their lanes on the field and in their, second careers, if you will. So shout out to them, I guess. But I feel what's crazy in all this is like the discussion has left Nikola Jokic being the MVP 3 out of 4 years. I actually think that's like a bigger topic because I don't even know if maybe LeBron was the last one of 3 and 4 years. Like, we don't even talk about that portion of what the root of the whole, argument was based out of was Jokic being 3 out of 4 MVP. And it was a weird time. The Nuggets were down 0-2. They got blown out. So people were already disrespecting the Nuggets. So, it would be a different disrespect maybe it'd be a different topic if the Nuggets like swept the Timberwolves and, it was like, dang, yeah, Jokic is that guy. Maybe it is a whole different like view on the whole topic. I don't know.
And it'd be interesting to see, like, because that's the other thing, right? We don't know who the voters are. Like, the voters are mostly just like the writers and like, TV, news, and all that are the people that vote on it, right? And it just kind of would be interested in like what they do, because even Charles was saying the same thing. Like, he was maybe not saying he shouldn't have got it, but was thinking that there were some other people that should have been in the top. Because I know they asked EJ to kind of say, hey, what's the rundown? And he was shocked at like, where some of the people came in, like, Brunson, ASG, just a couple of the people that he's like, oh, that low, and how many votes did they get? They didn't get these votes. So I think there's some kind of consensus where there's a judgment, but like I said, it's just going on people's criteria again.
Yeah, and maybe it's a little bit of like the way Jokic kind of outwardly or publicly displays his gratitude for any type of awards. He's
Anything.
just like, that's cool.
Okay. That's good.
I'm about to go take care of my horses. Like, so if he was on the the Kevin Durant crying stuff or that kind of, maybe do you come at him a different type of way? But it seems like he's just like, I got named MVP, what it is, and keep it moving.
And it seems like he doesn't really even care, right? Like that's the other part. Because why can't I think of our African, not the one in Philly? He was debating that he should have had it, right? Like, and he's like, "Oh, the league doesn't love me," when he didn't get it and he lost it, to Jokic a couple of years before. So I think I would
argue Jokic stopped playing last year, basically
just so he can get it.
No, for real. Like, he just stopped chilling. He just chilled for a while and let Embiid go ahead and get. I'm a little salty with Embiid right now, so I probably shouldn't even make an opinion on that. But yes,
that's an interesting take. So he's just like, man, here, so you can keep going. I need you in the league so I can have somebody to battle, because those games are supposed to be like battles when they match up, and then they don't play against each other. Was it this year, last year, where they made it like, oh, they were supposed to play, but one of them was hurt and blah blah blah.
Yeah, Embiid, gets a common cold every time he has to play. But I get it.
So I think he's probably hilarious, but like, this is not something that he really cares about. He works on his game and he wants to win titles, right? So that's what he's focused on. Because like that commercial when he talks about the push for that new movie, the Minions 3 or 4, whatever it is, and he's like, then they keep following me because he looks like Gru. That shit's funny. And he seems like he has that sense of humor, like about, just normal stuff. Like he takes a game and is like, yo, I'm going to do what I need to do on this floor. All the rest, he doesn't really care about.
Yeah. No, I do wonder, like, because how NBA is so narrative driven and who's the face of the league and all those type of things. And, I think I would probably say this series between Minnesota and Denver has some, bigger implications. And, maybe we'll talk about this at a later date of, who's the face of the league when it comes to Jokic or, Anthony Edwards type thing. I mean, I guess the league is like, hey, Jokic, look, bro, Despicable Me, can we at least get you in this commercial? Like, you got to do something. You got to do something for us, bro. You got to help us out somewhere. Can you go to the Met Gala once or wear a scarf? Like something, bro. Like, you got to help us out. So I wonder if that's like a discussion too, or if the league is, how's that determine what the writers are doing? If that determines anything with the writers, because the writers are the ones that put the narratives together, right? Absolutely, right?
Talk about something like, all right, let's put this story out and let's see if this gets traction, right? Let's do this thing and do that thing, or like, what are we making hot right now? So I agree, man. We have to do something, right? If he's going to be the face, because he's not relatable in any sense of the word. So how do you make him relatable, right? So like, have him get to know his other side, right? And that's the thing that we, as fans and watchers of the game, we always want to know a little bit more, right? Because it's one thing to click on a TV, but like, if I don't really know like this narrative or the story or what's pushing him or what's like the full outcome of something is, I don't watch. And that's kind of where NCAA is, right? Like, we've gotten to know these stories, whether we wanted to or not. We just started getting a little deeper stories and getting to know who these players are, and not just looking at the final box score at the end of the game.
Yeah, no, but I guess to sum up my thoughts on the whole thing, like I do feel like Shaq somehow is just disrespected as an all-time great. I really truly believe that, because as a whatever that period was where he was with the Lakers, and maybe it wasn't as long as it probably could have been or should have been, maybe for some personality things. Like, this dude was this was including Michael Jordan. I was old enough to recognize Michael Jordan, and I've seen all LeBron's career. And I didn't see anything before that, so I don't want to disrespect any of the other greats. But that Shaquille O'Neal period of just dominance is like nothing that I've ever seen, including Jokic. Like, nothing. And he did everything right. He had a little weakness. We gave him a little weakness. He didn't make free throws. He's like, all right, I won't make free throws.
But I'll make a Taco Bell commercial about it.
I'll rap. I'll make exam. You know what I mean? I'm going to win championships. Like, he did literally everything right. And for him to only have one MVP, it is kind of weird. It is kind of weird. Maybe he's just he was just so dominant that you couldn't like. I don't know. It is just kind of weird that he only had.
And we just really come from a time where we like to hate people, right? Like, there's really no reason why LeBron should get the amount of hate that he does. But people focus on stuff and just make it a thing. So I just think Shaq was part of that dominant era where, like, you know, if he wasn't playing for your team, you hated him.
No, for sure. But I don't know if his MVPs match how dominant he really was. Like when we go 20 generations from now and Shaq is still on TV doing some stuff, like we you know what I'm saying? Like we won't really like when it's away from the court, we don't really his MVPs and his numbers don't show how dominant he truly was in that era. And for that reason, I can understand how he would may or may not feel in the situation.
Get it. Well, that's that.
Hold on. So since it is a consensus that K-Dot won in a different battle, that seems like to be the consensus. So who won this?
I mean, currently, it's all Shaq, right? Because Shaq dissed a three-time MVP to his fucking face. So, and got away with it, and then did a diss track. So, in Club Shay-Shay, Shannon got kicked off his own or quit his own show and had to kind of, he's still calling his new host Skip. So, Shannon's still riding off of Cat Williams' interview. So him and his 3-hour interview.
100%.
So, all right, he's got his cognac and Laporter or something like that.
Yeah.
But Shaq's the winner. Got my vote. He got my MVP vote.
And, and I feel like Shaq petty enough that he'll put that in his bio.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Rookie of the year, 3-time Finals MVP, 1-time MVP. Whoop Shannon Sharpe. He'll put that on his bio.
Well, Kobe, how much taste?
Yeah.
He down. Come on, he down for rap battles. That's his thing.
That's his thing. Golly.
Oh, well, that's all I got, man. What else you got?
Not much, man. Y'all email each other, bro.
Hey, let's keep it on wax, man. Don't get violent.
Yeah, let's email each other.
Oh, that's too funny. All right, well, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please tell us who you think won. And heck, it may go on far beyond the recording of this episode. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Please don't. Share the show. And always, man, we are reaching out, man. If there's something you'd like for us to talk about, put it in the comments or, reach out to us. We're on pretty much every platform. So Twitter, X, Facebook, and IG. Comment, like the show, share the show, and just as the same as we always tell you, man, please stay safe, practice gratitude. We're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap.